Hello, FPL managers. Welcome to the FPL Optimized podcast. This is episode number 62. We're getting close to the end of the international break and we are preparing for game week 9. So, this will be a regular episode after we had the FPL General as a guest last week. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. I am Bas, the casual manager, and my co host is Sertalp, the data scientist. This is the podcast in which we combine analytics with the good old eye test. Data or grass, or data and grass? That's the question. So, Sertalp, we talked about our game week 8 performances last week already, and I prefer to not talk about it anymore, to be honest.
I understand.
So let's look ahead. But maybe before we jump into game week 9, I think you might want to cover the model accuracy today.
Yeah, certainly. Let's start with that. And instead of the accuracy, so we were actually thinking with Neil and Chase about, how can we show this, the utility of these models. Like accuracy is one thing, but sometimes you really don't care about the accuracy of the players that you're not interested in anyway, and you are most interested in the players who has the highest EV. And we were just thinking about what would be a good way to show this utility function, and Neil came up with this idea. So what we do here is we allow all models to pick 15 players. So essentially 2 goalkeepers, 5 defenders, 5 midfielders, and 3 forwards every week without any limitation. So it's like a free hit every week.
Mm-hmm.
And also bench boost every week because it's the top 15 players, right? So we are actually combining all those 15 players. And we are also picking the player with the highest EV as the captain. So, he gets double the points. And then we summed it up to see, which model actually comes on top. So if you are watching on YouTube, so we have this bar chart. It's showing the total points collected with this methodology. For every model, and we also tried some mix of models, so some ensembles too. And so I will go over from top to bottom. So the model that gives the most points was FPL review. If you were able to do this free hit and bench boost every week, essentially, it brings almost 750 points, around that figure. And then in second rank we have Mikael Tokvam, slightly low. So that's slightly below 700 points. And then we have our ensemble models 2 and 3. So I can't really remember what the composition of these models were, but doing a naive ensemble usually is worse than these two. And then we have Fantasy Football Scout in the third rank, and then FPL team. Then Fantasy Football Fix is very close. And then we have Fantasy Football Hub and Draft Hound at the last rank. And this is the utility function of the models. Any questions from you?
Yeah, I was just wondering if, is this outcome then looking different than what the chart you had before, or is it giving you different results or different insights, or is it
No,
pretty
I
much
think
similar?
it's consistent. I mean, FPL review was the most accurate in last weeks, and Mikael Tokman was quite high too. And so in here, like even though we have the rank, I mean, FPL review and Mikael Tokman has some gap between them, but Mikael Tokman's and Fantasy Football Scout is somewhat close to each other. And then the third tier is FPL team, Fantasy Football Fix, and then we have Fantasy Football Hub and Draft Hound. So again, I mean, the accuracy is one thing. So you might be predicting correctly lots of players that are not relevant to FPL. Like, for example, let's say McAllister's points. Like, you might be able to predict it very accurately, but almost no one has him in their team. So that accuracy doesn't mean too much to many people. But what's important is like whether your model was favoring Salah or Haaland for the captaincy last week, for example. So and then you are kind of like multiplying it because you are choosing that player as the captain. So and then we are looking from game week 1 to 8. So this is like a little bit more accurate instead of looking at game week by game week. But yeah, I think it's somewhat consistent. And also, well, obviously in this chart, higher your bar is, it's better. So it's essentially how many points you could have collected with this theoretical game we have.
No, I get it. All right. Thanks for that. Good to take a look at it. Let's move to the next topic. And as we usually do, we will look at the team's ranking for the next couple of weeks, split by the offensive and defensive strengths.
Yes, certainly. So at the top of our chart, we have Liverpool. Liverpool has 4 favorable fixtures in this horizon. I will talk about those favorable fixtures in a second, but let me go over the teams first. We have Liverpool at the first spot, and then we have Manchester City.
Okay.
And then Arsenal, Newcastle, Brighton, Aston Villa, Tottenham, Manchester United, West Ham, and Brentford is the top 10 teams by fixture quality.
Yeah.
And so for this game week specifically, 2 good fixtures are Liverpool playing against Everton, both defensively and offensively. It's a favorable fixture, makes it to our top 10 percentile. And the second game is Newcastle against Crystal Palace. Defensively, it's a really good fixture. At least this is what the models say. And despite being in this top 10 list, only team with the unfavorable fixture is Brighton. Defensively, it's really low. I mean, they are playing against Manchester City away. But so Liverpool at the top because they have Everton this game week and then Nottingham Forest next game week at home and then Luton Town away. They have Brentford. I mean, it's somewhat of a good fixture, not entirely. Game week 13 is challenging. It's Manchester City, but then they play against Fulham. So it is 4 fixtures out of 6 in this horizon that we are looking at. So that's why they are at the first spot. And we talked about this, but Manchester City has tough fixtures in this horizon. I mean, they are playing against Brighton this game week, which is not too bad. But then they have Manchester United, Chelsea in game week 12, and then Liverpool in game week 13, and also Tottenham in game week 14. So even though models favor them for the Tottenham game at home, but in general, like it's not the easiest horizon for Manchester City.
No.
Yeah, I mean, despite having these challenging fixtures, they are on top of Arsenal. And Arsenal has only like Chelsea game this week, and then Newcastle in game week 11. That's challenging, and they have 3 good fixtures, really good fixtures. Sheffield United in 10, and then Burnley in 12, and then Wolves in game week 14. So it's a little bit interesting because like hard fixture, easy fixture, hard, easy, hard, easy. So it's like if you have Arsenal players,
the easy fixtures are all 3 at home, so I think that's also
that's true. Good
working
point.
in their favor.
Yeah.
Okay, but interesting to see that City is still second despite the difficult fixtures.
Yeah.
True. And I was also looking at Man United. I mean, I still have Bruno. And I'm keeping him for the Sheffield game, and then I was planning to sell him. But if we look a bit further ahead, they play against Fulham and Luton. So that wouldn't be too bad to still keep 1 or 2 of their players. But let's see how they will do, because we've said that before. They had some easier games. At least we thought they were easier, but they have struggled so far. But I saw a good Rashford goal yesterday in the England game. And also Bruno has been doing quite well for Portugal. So let's hope they will bring that form back to United.
Yeah. So do you have 1 or 2 players from United?
I still have Onana. So I have Bruno. I've got Bruno and Onana. But the same for Onana. I think I will definitely keep him now for the Sheffield game. And I'm not planning to wildcard, so I'll probably keep him as well then for the upcoming fixtures.
You will hear in a minute, but Onana is also in the optimal wildcard team, so
okay,
good for you.
That's good. That's good. Sometimes you just need to stay patient.
Sometimes, yeah.
All right. Anything else you wanted to cover on this chart?
Not in this chart, but we can maybe talk about the worst
let's
teams.
do that.
In terms of, again, the fixture difficulty from worst to, slightly better. The order is Luton Town, Sheffield United, Wolves, Fulham, Nottingham Forest, Burnley, Everton, Bournemouth, Chelsea, and Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
I mean, Luton Town is always at the top of this chart, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I mean, they are playing against Nottingham Forest this game week. But they have Aston Villa, Liverpool, Manchester United, and also Brentford in the horizon, so it's not looking too good for them.
No.
It's again still interesting to see Chelsea here, because I feel like their underlyings are not too bad. I feel like they are here because some of the models are giving more weight to recent results than other models do. And I'm taking an equal weight ensemble here. So they kind of end up being in this part of the chart, in this half. But at the same time, they are playing against Arsenal this game week, and then they also have Tottenham, Manchester City, and Newcastle games in the horizon.
Yeah.
So again, it's not the easiest fixtures, but yeah, it's always interesting to see Chelsea here.
Yeah. I think especially defensively, haven't been conceding too much. So they also haven't scored too much, but they are, not so easy to beat, I would say. And what's also interesting, somebody else pointed that out on Twitter, something a few days ago, that they have a huge swing, but you need to wait until game week 16. So that's still some while, but it's really interesting because they have some really difficult fixtures, as you're also showing. You show here until game week 14, and then they still also have Man United in game week 15, so that's a difficult one. But then from game week 16 onwards, they go into a run of like I think seven, 6 or 7 really easy fixtures. So that's maybe an easy and a good one to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Write it down somewhere. That's
okay.
game week 15. That's no, game week 16. That's December 9. So we still have a bit of time for that.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thanks for that.
Sure.
And as always, this gives us a good idea of the teams we should be considering for our transfers. I expected Liverpool to be so high, so that's why I'm wearing a Liverpool shirt today.
Oh,
You should be
awesome! I
happy with that.
also have a Liverpool
Yeah.
training shirt on
And,
me.
and before you ask, I did look it up this time. So this is the home shirt of the 99-2000 season.
Oh, okay. yeah, I
Yeah.
keep asking the question, right?
A while ago. But I know that because that was the season Eric Meyer played for them.
Oh,
And
okay.
probably most people don't know him, but Eric Meyer used to play for my hometown team, MVV Maastricht. And he made a transfer from Bayer Leverkusen to Liverpool that season. So he only played for Liverpool for one season. I looked it up, 24 games, no goals scored. And you have to know that he was a striker, so I think that says enough.
That's
He
not
didn't do
lucky.
too well. That's also why he only stayed for a season. But I did go to Anfield that season, so that's a
Oh,
trip I
just to
still
watch him, or
remember.
just
Yeah.
okay?
Actually got his name on it on my shirt.
Oh, that's amazing.
I might be the only one who bought his shirt. Sorry.
I'm surprised that
Sorry
you
for
have a
that, dude.
Liverpool jersey in the first place, but yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so that was a good one. All right, but enough of that. Let's switch to the next topic, which is an overview of the players who either gained or dropped in expected value. And again, this is something we can use for our transfer plans.
Yeah, let's start with the players who are increasing. But even before that, I would like also talk about the players who are most transferred in. I mean, it's not
Okay.
visible here, but
Yeah.
top 3 players who are most transferred in are Watkins, Salah, and Madison.
All right.
Watkins I definitely understand. I mean, he has good
Yeah.
fixtures too. He was also optimal. I think even this game week, I think wildcard optimal. And we talk about Liverpool's good fixtures, so Salah is also understandable to 116,000. So they are not as high as the previous game weeks. You know, sometimes we were having like almost 500,000 people transferring a particular player, so it's a little bit of a split this game week.
Yeah.
And then the third place we have Madison with 174k. So I feel like most people are kind of waiting towards the deadline. Which makes sense. And in terms of gains, I should also mention that some of the models haven't updated yet. For example, Miguel Tokvam, so we had to exclude
Okay.
his model from here. But we have Palmer at the first place, and his EV increased around 5.1.
Okay.
And then we have Gabriel in the second place. His EV increased around 4.6. Harrison, Everton, and then Anthony from Manchester United, Turner, Nottingham Forest, Isaac, E. Chan from Wolves, Nketiah, Arsenal, Wilson, and Ake from Manchester City. So these are the top 10 players whose EV increased, but top 4 of these have a significant increase compared to others. So they are like between plus, 5.1 to 4.4. I assume mostly related to minutes or penalty duties. I think.
Yeah, and Palmer, I was just looking at his stats. So I think the last 2 games, he got 85 and 77 minutes. So he started. He also scored a goal in the last game against Burnley. So yeah, and he's only, what is he? He's only 4.9 million. So that's of course a really interesting option in midfield, even though we have a lot of options in midfield. But if you, especially for the people that are trying to fit in both Haaland and Salah, then this could be a good enabler, of course. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And anyone else you want to talk about here? And by the way, again, like we talked about this before, but like Palmer's EV increase is mostly related to the penalty duties, I assume, because the goal he scored was from a penalty.
Yeah, indeed.
And we talked about this, but models love penalty takers because there's always a chance of getting a penalty, and maybe Palmer is more the preferred penalty taker in Chelsea, perhaps.
Yeah.
So that this increase is probably explained by that.
Yeah, because I think there were a lot of questions about who would be the Chelsea penalty taker, and then how Palmer took it. So, combined with the minutes that he had and the favorable price point, of course, it makes him an interesting option.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, for the rest, no, I think, Gabriel, we talked about it last week with the FPL General. So I think for people who kept faith, people who had him in game week 1, I had him in game week 1, but I sold him in game week 3. But if you kept him, then, that's of course very positive because he's back in the team and a lot of people are considering to bring him in. So his minutes seem to be a bit more secured. Yeah, and Anthony at Man United, there were of course some issues there off the pitch, but he was now back in the team, so I think that's probably why the model got adjusted again. And Turner is an interesting one because they have the other goalkeeper on the bench, the Odysseas from Greece, and I think some people were expecting Turner to lose his place at some point, but looking now at this chart, I suppose that the models are thinking that he will keep his place.
Yeah,
that could be related.
Yeah, I think maybe models were kind of pessimistic at one point and then recovered a little bit because for this game week the increase is much more significant than other game weeks. So I assume they have more confidence that he will start this game week, but for the future game weeks, I think it's not as clear.
Right. Yeah, it was a bit strange to buy him, right? Because they bought Turner from Arsenal and then they bought the Greek keeper from Benfica. So you kind of wonder, like, why are they doing that? But of course, yeah, it's always good to have some options. And I saw the game of the Netherlands against Greece, and Odysseas was in the Greek team, and actually he was doing quite well in goal. So yeah, maybe at some point he might come in. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye on it.
And how was the game, by the way?
Oh, it was very tight. The Netherlands just won 1-0 with a Van Dijk penalty 10 minutes before the end. We had a penalty in the first half, but Wout Weghorst missed it.
Oh.
And apparently he has a really bad penalty record. I think he scored.
Really?
I'm not sure by heart, but so I don't want to say things that are not true. But I do know. I don't know the exact rate, but the rate is really low, so probably he won't take penalties anymore. But you know, he was one of the only ones who dared to step up and to take it. So that's of course a good thing. But then he missed it, which is a
Yeah.
bad thing. And then the second penalty, Virgil took it, and so that was the only goal, 1-0. Yeah, luckily.
And these were the Euro qualifiers, right? So
Yeah,
are you guys
Euro qualifier.
qualified for it or still
Yeah,
a bit of it?
almost. We still need one win either against Ireland or Gibraltar. So
Okay.
usually,
Yeah.
normally, can't go wrong. Luckily. And I have tickets for the game, Netherlands against Ireland in Amsterdam. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's perfect.
Yes.
So
Looking
you
forward to
will be
that.
traveling again.
Yeah. Well, just to Amsterdam. That's just,
Okay.
it's on a Saturday, so there's just one day, and
Oh,
I'll
just
I'll bring my
Saturday.
kids. My kids are super excited.
Okay.
So yeah, show them the Amsterdam Arena, which is quite an impressive stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so these were the top gainers. Let's look now at the players that lost EV.
Yeah, in the first rank we have Havertz, lost almost 4 EV across 6 game week horizon,
Yeah.
and Jimenez in the second place. Then we have Grealish, Flecken. I keep seeing Grealish's name in these charts. I don't know like how much EV, like maybe sometimes increasing, sometimes decreasing. I don't know, but he's a frequent in these tables. And then
Yeah.
we have Flecken in fourth place, Casemiro in fifth, Joe Linton, and then Roberts, Rashford, Akanji, and Cash.
Okay.
So most of these players didn't lose too much EV. Flecken is lost 1.1 EV only for this game week, and then across the horizon is slightly lower, not significantly. But yeah,
Yeah, I think Flecken still is ill.
yeah,
He
missed
also
quite
actually
some time.
dropped out in the Dutch squad. He didn't join. And maybe interesting to know from an FPL perspective, Verbrugge made his debut for the Dutch team. So he played 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
The Brighton keeper, he played again. So he played in the Dutch team now for against France and against Greece, and he did pretty well. So he might keep the spot now, I think, in future because we don't have too many other options there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, these are the EV losers of the game week so
Okay,
far.
excellent. And I think with that, we can take a look at the updated optimal team.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And as it's the international break, I think there are quite some people with their wildcard active. So the information about the optimal team could be extra relevant this week.
Yeah, so I used again my own team so that this is optimal for my team value, and then I also, as always, like this is the raw optimal, meaning that this is the
Yeah.
team that gives you the optimal without making any without thinking too much. So this is just you send the numbers to the model, and model says, okay, this is the team that will give you the highest
Right.
expected value in total.
Okay.
And then for this game week, also since some models were not updated, I'm using again an ensemble model, but it's custom weighted and it's very FPI review heavy. This one,
Okay.
because it looks like it was the model that was updated quite often. And so in this wildcard optimal team, we have Onana in the goal, and then this week I said, yeah, why don't I optimize it over like 12 game week period? So it's a longer horizon too.
All right.
So Onana is playing in 9 out of these 12 game week horizon.
Mm-hmm.
Only games he misses are Manchester City, Newcastle, and Liverpool. He plays
Okay.
against all the others.
Yeah.
And Areola is covering those game weeks against
Okay.
Everton, Crystal Palace, and Wolves. So it looks like a nice combination. And in defense, we have Alexander Arnold, Dalot, and Byrne. So it's like a double Manchester United defender. And in midfield, we have Saka, Mubemo, Salah, Madison, Son. And in forward, we have Watkins and Alvarez. Again, so model doesn't like having Haaland. So actually, model prefers to have Salah. Let's start with that way. And then if you also get Haaland, they become too expensive, so the rest of the team suffers a lot. So model drops Haaland instead. And in the bench we have Zinchenko and Gabriel and Mubama as the bench fodder. And only scheduled transfers. So we have, I think, a few scheduled transfers here. The first one is Alexander-Arnold eventually becomes Trippier and then Diaz towards the end of the horizon. And Gabriel becomes Colville almost at the, let's see, after 7 game weeks. So this is again a 12 game week horizon. And then also Salah becomes Foden at the very end of this horizon because Alvarez eventually becomes Haaland. So Alvarez becomes Isaac at one point and then Model buys Haaland. So it's just making that switch so that Salah to Foden, and then with that extra money it goes from Isaac to Haaland at the end of the horizon. So I think that's also part of the reason why Alexander-Arnold is being sold by the model. But again, so this is the raw optimal team, so this might be a little bit too crazy.
Yeah, I know, but I think that's the dilemma that everybody is facing, Haaland or Salah or both, especially if you also have Son in the team. So this is an interesting option to bet now on Salah for a few game weeks and then switch at some point back. Yeah. So, okay, that looks good. I'm still happy that Mbuemo is still in, right?
Yeah, he's in. Yeah. So you're not using your wildcard, obviously, but what are you doing then?
Yeah, good question. I also ask myself. No, no. Yeah, I said it last week. Game week 8 was really bad, but for game week 9, the team looks good. So I'm trying to just stay patient and. Depends a lot also, I think, on the injury news. So I'm hoping that Botman will be back. I don't think there's news yet. So I think we'll have to wait for the press conferences on Friday. Botman for Newcastle, of course. And then I also hope that Saka will be back. I guess he should be because he didn't join the England squad. So he had some time to relax. And if I can keep them, then I have 2 free transfers for game week 10. And I think then for game week 10, I'm planning to move Mbuemo and Bruno to Gordon and Salah. So that's the plan. Then I don't need to use my wild card, and I think I'll have a pretty good team with Salah, Haaland, Son. Of course, I had to make some sacrifices, so I won't have Trippier, I won't have Watkins. But that's you can't have them all. This is the bet that I made, and I will just stick to it. So that's my plan. And then wildcard, I think I'll stay flexible. No clear plan yet.
Yeah, that's cool.
For you, I guess you used your wildcards recently, so I don't think you'll be making changes, or will you?
I will almost certainly roll this game week unless we hear something crazy. And in game week 9 to 10, the plan is to sell someone to bring Odegaard. So probably Madison.
Odegaard.
Yeah. So because
maybe
the plan was
Martinelli
always.
is also back.
Sorry?
I said Martinelli is also back. Could also be an interesting option.
Yeah. I think when we wildcarded, I think the model was kind of screaming us to buy an Arsenal midfielder at one point in 2 game weeks of time or 3. I think Saka and Odegaard was very close in EV, but I haven't checked if Martinelli's EV is close enough to make to the team. Okay. But yeah, I think the plan is to get Odegaard.
That can be a good one to check next week, because probably Arsenal will move up a little bit on the fixture ticker, I think.
Yes, probably.
Yeah. And Martinelli, he made his comeback in the previous game, also scored a goal. So I think people are looking at him again because he's also a bit cheaper than the other options. And hopefully they will also give him the ball to take a penalty at some moment. You never know at Arsenal.
Yes, that's true.
All right, that's good. So I think the last data we should look at today is the chart for the captaincy options. And I think we have a few good ones this week, so it will not be an easy choice.
Yeah, we have Haaland in the ensemble model.
All right.
So he's 7.83. in average, and Salah is 7.66. So it is close. I mean, only 0.2 EV difference between the two of them. And we have Son at 6.25, Fernandez at 5.66, and Mbeumo at 5.59.
Yeah.
But checking this, 4 models is favoring Haaland. Is Fantasy Football Fix, Fantasy Football Hub, Scout, and FPL Reviews Premium model. And 3 models are favoring Salah, Draft Hound, FPL Team, and Mikel Togvam. And again, Mikel Togvam didn't update it yet, and there was only 1.6% difference between Salah and Haaland in terms of expected value. So it's possible that maybe Haaland will, get the top spot and Mikel Togvam's model. So I'm a little bit curious to see what will happen. I mean, it doesn't matter for me because I only have Salah, but for people who have both Salah and Haaland, it will be interesting.
Yeah.
And so other options, I mean, even though both Tottenham and Manchester United have favorable fixtures, but I think, most people will captain Haaland, and Salah will be captained by people who only have Salah in the first place.
Yeah,
So,
probably. You're right. Yeah, the thing what I don't like too much with the Liverpool game is that it's the Liverpool derby against Everton, and Everton also have been improving. I mean, I think Liverpool will probably win, and it's quite likely that Salah will score a goal. But just looking at the fixtures, I prefer the City fixture against Brighton.
yeah.
Even though Brighton is a good team, but we've seen that defensively that they've been struggling a bit more because they play so attacking.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, also City has been struggling a bit in recent weeks, so there are some doubts there. Also with Haaland, maybe scoring a few less goals. So yeah, that's a tough one. And then you also have Son at home against Fulham, which I think is also a good game. So
Yeah.
plenty of choices. I'll probably stick to Haaland, but it's not an easy one. All right. Thanks for covering that. And I
Sure.
think we covered everything then for today. Or is there something you still wanted to add?
No, nothing from my side.
Okay, cool. Then let's maybe just look at our mini league again because we didn't do that last week. And we now have 284 teams. So that's pretty cool. Thanks for joining. And the league is still open to join. The code is 0JSDLA. So everyone is welcome. And I'm pretty jealous of all the high scores of our leaders. So, well done to the first 3. And number 1 is Alex Wilmot, and we have been mentioning his name before. So he's very
Yeah.
consistent, very good season so far with his team IU Not Entertained. He's now on 549 points, and I checked his OR 2.7k, so that's really good. Well done, Alex. Keep it up. And then number 2 is C. Britnell with the team Cruise Control. That's also a team we mentioned before. This team has 537 points. And then number 3 is Matthew Leffler with his team Raleigh Rigby. I think also we mentioned that one before. 532 points. So congrats again to the 3 of you, and good luck for the rest of the season. This was it for today. This was FPL Optimized Podcast, episode number 62. Thanks for listening, and good luck with making your Game Week 9 decisions. May your arrow be green. We'll be back with another episode next week. You can subscribe to the podcast so you'll get notified when the next episode is released. And you can also follow us on Twitter. For Sertalp, it's at Sertalp Bilal, and for me, it's at BelfiBB. And as you probably know by now, you can also find us on YouTube.
And until next time, stay curious and stay analytical. Goodbye.
Goodbye.